At this point, we hand the program over to Peter Ndora now. He is, of course, hosting a TNA, and if I'm not mistaken, he's in Cape Town, and they're going to be reflecting, him and his panel, on the challenges and innovations that are affecting local government. So let's say a very good morning to Peter Ndora and the rest of his guests.
A very good morning to you, Leanne, and good morning to all our viewers across South Africa and indeed across the continent, watching, I believe, in more than 40 countries across Africa on Channel 404 on DSTV. We are in Cape Town in South Africa, and this is the venue for the latest in the series of New Age Business Briefings brought to you by the SABC, and today very kindly sponsored by JIC Mining Services. And in focus today, as you alluded, Leanne, is local government. The South African Local Government Association has been formed for many years now, but they have a new branch within that, which is the SALGA Council of Mayors, and they've been meeting in Cape Town starting yesterday. It was their inaugural gathering, actually. And to tell us a little bit about what happened yesterday and what they're hoping to get through today and what this body means, actually, and how it's going to affect you and I, because at the end of the day, local government is actually where everything happens at the end of the day. That's the real government for you and I as citizens, because that's where we interface most intimately with our government structures. And service delivery, if you want to talk about that, that is where we deal with it at local government level. So we've got a room full of executive mayors right from across the country, 257 municipalities. They're not all in the room because we didn't have space for every single one of them, but a good representation here. So your local mayor is probably here right now at the moment. If you've got a question, you can put it through hashtag TNA BizBrief, that's B-I-Z, hashtag TNA BizBrief, or at Morning Live SABC, and you can be part of that program. But to kick us off, let me introduce our first two panelists, and we're going to have four mayors a little bit later on as well that we're going to call up onto the stage to talk about their challenges, successes. But to kick us off, we've got, first of all, the president of the South African Local Government Association, SALGA, and also the president of the United Cities and Local Government, the UCLG, Councillor Parks Tau. You were my mayor for such a long time, but you've got much more responsibility on a global level as well. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Peter.
And next to you, Mr. Xolile George, who's the CEO of SALGA, and we've had you on the program before. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Peter, and good morning to all South Africans.
All right, so gentlemen, the SALGA Council of Mayors kicked off yesterday, inaugural gathering, and there was quite a list of people that sat on the various panels, ministers, Chapter 9 heads, institution heads, and various other speakers. A very, very important gathering. And you spoke and welcomed everybody. What was your message yesterday, and what is this Council of Mayors?
Well, firstly, the new constitution of SALGA makes provision for the establishment of a Council of Mayors. This is the first of the Council of Mayors that we're convening, and the idea behind the Council of Mayors is to enable us as the national executive of SALGA to interact with all the mayors in the country, to interface on the issues that mayors are dealing with on a daily basis, so that when we say we advocate on behalf of the mayors and local governments, when we say we represent the issues that are affecting local government, that actually we have the regular interface with the municipalities in their disparate forms. And in that way, we have the ability to get regular mandates from the mayors about the issues that we should deal with. Secondly, it's a platform for interface and interaction. As you said, we've had interaction with Chapter 9 institutions, the Public Protector, the Auditor General, the Finance and Fiscal Commission, the Demarcation Board, on issues of their work in relation to local government, how that impacts positively, negatively on the work of local government, and how we can enhance that, and how the systems could complement each other. We had the opportunity to discuss with ministers and deputy ministers on issues that affect local government. And in that way, it gives local government the opportunity to have a direct mechanism of interfacing with government. So we've tried to design it in such a way that it enables our mayors to have a direct voice with government and to ensure that their issues are raised. And our responsibility as the National Executive Committee is to ensure that that's followed up with.
Okay. Mr. George, as I'm listening to Councillor Tau, I'm just wondering, was it necessary to set up this separate council of mayors? It sounds a lot like some of the things that you would have done anyway as SALGA in general.
Well, Peter, local government is quite a complicated system. If you compare local government with national and provincial constitutional menu, is quite different in the sense that in local government you find both executive and legislative powers vested in a council. And all of those require different focus. So it was necessary for SALGA to look at the hierarchy of its governance structures, the first one being the National Conference that meets every 5 years. And the second one being a National Members' Assembly that meets mid-term, meaning on the 30th month of the 60 months period. Now, in between the intervening period, you require a focused engagement on areas that deal with the domain of the executive. You also require a focused conversation on areas that deal with the domain of the legislature. So it became necessary, therefore, that with 257 municipalities, mayors are at the forefront of leading and providing political and strategic leadership at the municipality. The second issue is that they are at the center of inspiring good governance in terms of not only at a council level, but also with communities. The third area, you require a platform that will be in a position to tap the cross-section of experiences that the mayors have, given the diversity that has emerged in terms of local government experience and not experienced people, but also the complex challenges that we have in the country require a greater degree of imagination. So you need a cross-section of experience to tap around that experience, around sharing, innovation, but also in a year, local government, as I said, is very complex. There are quite a number of topical issues that you can't say, I'll wait for the 30th month, I'll wait for the 60-month transition period. You've got to grapple with them, consistent with the mandate of SALGA to represent, advocate, and work. Like we are here now, already about 5 key issues were considered by mayors yesterday. The complexity of the funding architecture of our country, how do we fund local government? The second area today will be dealing with the energy complex that we have. How do we make sure that at local government level, the issues around energy and the new paradigm we need around renewables is matters that mayors are grappling with every day. The areas of the changing policy landscape and how do we review the current systems around legislation, policies, resources at local government. So it's quite important that you are able to tap from time to time from that experience so the leadership of SALGA is in a better position to advocate for those.
All right, we'll chat a little bit more about some of those issues that came through and the challenges that mayors are facing. But let me just, you're wearing several hats here, so I'm going to pick on a couple. The first one is the one as President of the United Cities and Local Government. And I'm just wondering, this international body gives you an opportunity to compare where we are as local cities, municipalities, with the international picture. And I just wonder, how well are we doing when we compare ourselves to the rest of the world? Because sometimes I think we can be overly self-critical, or perhaps sometimes not critical enough about some of our challenges. And sitting there, is there stuff that you can bring back to us that you can feed through to our local municipal structures?
I think that South Africa compares very well with local government international. In the first instance, because our local government system is constitutionally enshrined. Our municipalities are created by the Constitution. They have original powers and functions. They are referred to in the Constitution as spheres of government. And this has influenced international discourse around how you create local governments. So just from the point of the statutes that guide the creation of local government, South Africa fares very well. The evolution of our local government system is something that's recognized internationally as good practice, taking into account the relatively short space of time in which we've created relatively stable institutions. And as you say, we sometimes get self-critical, necessarily so. I think any nation should be self-critical for it to advance. But in many ways, I think it is celebrated as one of those systems that has evolved over a relatively short space of time into what we've created in our local government system. What can we bring to South Africa with regards to local government? Firstly, it's the realization that the issues that we're dealing with are issues that our peers and colleagues internationally are dealing with, both in the developed world and in the developing world. And that we have a collective responsibility to reconstitute the way in which local government works in South Africa, in Africa, and globally. One of my responsibilities more recently is to co-chair the panel on the future of UN Habitat, to advise the Secretary General and the General Assembly of the United Nations on UN Habitat as a focal point for local governance. And some of the information we're getting are people saying, well, we need funding. It's something that generally we've spoken about in South Africa. We need institutional mechanisms. We need support from government. We need supporting legislation. And these are issues that are globally recognized as critical issues for local government. What is emerging, though, is that local government is being seen as the pivot around which we can create a better world, because in reality it is in the management of your territories that you're able to talk about development, whether you're talking about water, sanitation, electricity, or the resilience agenda. Is it climate change or disaster risk reduction? The challenges that our colleagues in the Western Cape have been facing when we arrived here, the city of Cape Town, and many of our colleagues in the Western Cape were grappling with the realities of climate change, a drought over a long period of time, and a sudden storm that impacted on people. We've had problems in the Eden District and have fires that have been raging in the Eden District. And how do you create municipalities that are ready to deal with these realities? Is our infrastructure ready? Do you have the resilient systems to be able to deal with this? And I think that whilst there's a general acknowledgement that there's an evolution of the local government system, there's now a recognition that in fact local government is at the center of the activity, and it is the local government that has to respond. There's a common saying that when you have, like the fire in the Eden District, the role of the minister is usually to come in a helicopter, come and see as to what happened, and then go away. The role of the mayor is to be there every day, to ensure that you are able to deal with the reality of the fire until it's over, and the consequences of that fire. So you don't have the privilege of flying in and out of the problem. You live with the problem on a daily basis. So you need to build the resilience of your institution to be able to deal with these issues on a daily basis.
Okay, we'll continue to explore the various hats that you have, but also the one that you have here locally as president of SALGA. And then just after the break, I'm going to be talking to Mr. George to ask him a little bit about the journey. You'll remember in August last year, we had local government elections, and some would say that the landscape changed dramatically in some areas. And what has that meant? What does it mean to have new borders as well, and also new councillors and mayors? And have they been prepared, and how they're doing 11 months in? All of that coming up after this. Stay with us.